Hey folks, Mr. Hilderman here. I'm here to give you guys some essay writing tips, how we can be successful. Now the first thing is we are using Google Docs for this one. So do me a big favor and first put your first and last name up here. Okay, so Mr. Hildebrand essay, Mr. Hildebrand's essay. Please, first and last name up there so that when you share with me, I know who wrote it. Okay, and I can actually give you points. So, the first thing we're going to do is just like we're writing any paragraph. It's just tab. Hit tab, indents a little bit. That lets the reader know, hey, we're starting a new paragraph. New ideas coming your way. Now for this, I really need you all to use your best 7th grade spelling, grammar, everything you've learned before. So capitalize the first letter of a sentence. If you are using somebody's name, right? Like Angela Trenicosta, she's in an article. Capitalize her name. If you get to the end of the sentence, put a period. Put a question mark. If you're using a quote, you got to put it in quotation marks. You guys know how to do this. That's the expectation. Another thing, remember, we're not using the word I. Do not use the word I. Okay. The article asks about Americans today, and it asks about Romans. That's who we're talking about. We're using historians, archaeologists, we're using experts, their opinions. Okay. This isn't a journal entry. This isn't a diary. This isn't a text. So we should not see the word I because this article is not about you. Okay. If it was a story about your life, you could put the word I there all you want, but it's not. Okay. Because as soon as people see the word I, they stop listening. They assume it's your opinion. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. People don't care about reading opinions. But if we take our opinions and we get rid of the word I and we just state it like a fact, it sounds stronger. People listen. For example, if you say, I think Pizza Hut has the best pizza. Well, that's very obviously an opinion, right? Because you used the word I. So people stop listening as soon as you said I. But if we phrase it a little differently, we say Pizza Hut has the best pizza. Well, that sounds more confident. Now, if you're reading it, you'll still figure out its opinion, but it sounds more confident, it sounds more professional. So do not put the word I or any of the personal pronouns. Me, we, myself, okay? None of those. You're going to get big X out of them. You're going to lose points for it, so do not use those. If you're not sure how to phrase something without using those words, talk to me. I'll help you out. All right, so we've indented. We have our first and last name up here. So our essay is going to be based on our essay map that we did together. So if we go back to the class kick, remember we looked at our prompt. We identified the verbs, the keywords. We've created a thesis statement. We need a little background info, okay? We need a little background info. So, we might have to talk about maybe we got a hook, right? We got to get their attention. So maybe we go back to that that video we watched, the goofy one about the Romans. Okay, and we could say something like historians believe or have evidence that Roman emperors would sometimes prank their dinner guests. Right? That might get the reader's attention. They would say, oh, what's the prank? Okay, so then we could say Emperor Elagabalus one time fed his guests rocks disguised as food. Okay. Now, folks, you're using your own hook. Okay, use something from the video, something else you've learned, something interesting you saw in the article. Maybe talk about the camels, talk about the songbirds, right? So maybe your hook is imagine eating a bird whole or swallowing a bird whole. Imagine showing up to a dinner party and a camel is on the table. Okay, get some kind of hook, something interesting. Now, I know a lot of times your teachers have told you, hey, use a question. That's a little corny. Okay. For example, if you say, do you know what Romans ate for food? just sounds corny. It sounds like an elementary school kid writing. Okay, don't do that. Another thing people like to do is they say, in this essay, I will, talk about Roman food. That I like to call the corny magician. Don't tell the reader what you're going to tell them. Okay? Just like you wouldn't say to your friend, hey, I'm going to explain, the episode of whatever show, right? You would just go up to them and say, hey, this is what happened, and you would explain everything, right? So don't tell somebody that you're going to tell them something. Just tell them, right? So, for example, you wouldn't say, in this essay, I'm going to write about corny. That's like a corny magician on stage saying, for my next trick, I'm going to do this, right? Don't do that, okay? So instead of saying, like, we're going to talk about Roman, I'm going to write about Roman foods, okay? Just write something about Roman foods, okay? So here we have a little bit of background, right? So maybe we want the reader to know that not all Romans ate like this. Not all Romans got pranked, okay? So we could say something like Roman foods were much more similar to what modern Americans eat than what one might think. Now, most good paragraphs have 4 to 5 sentences in them. We already got 4. So for our last sentence, we're going to hit them with our thesis. Okay? So this is nice because you already wrote this. Right? So I already wrote an example one here. Yours is probably going to look a little different. But we can even copy and paste our thesis here, right? Control C. We'll copy it. Control V. Paste it. Okay? So we end it by saying the foods, dining customs, and wealth of ancient Romans and Americans today are the same and different because I've got a couple extra spaces here I'll get rid of because it looks a little awkward. Because the Romans ate, let me fix that, the same food, Americans have different dining customs, and Romans and Americans have the same and different ways of showing their wealth. Now again, your thesis is probably going to sound a little different. Now, that's a good, solid first paragraph. Make sure that you don't have extra spaces and that kind of thing. What we're going to do next, hit enter, because we just started a new paragraph. And in order to show the reader it's a new paragraph, you have to hit tab button. Okay, it's on the left side of your keyboard. It indents it. It lets the reader know that you are starting a new paragraph. Now, this is a nice thing because we already wrote a bunch of ideas down on our class kick. So if we go back to our class kick, we scroll down, we already have our first claim. Let's talk about food, right? We know we have to talk about food, dining customs, wealth. So let's talk about our food. Let's just take our claim that we wrote as a sentence, use it as our first sentence. So we could say the Romans ate many similar. Now if you think it's different, you could say different there. Foods to Americans today. All right. That acts as a transition. That's our claim. Okay. Wonderful. So we go back. All right. Now we got to use our data, right? We could say historians believe that Americans and Romans both ate pork. Now, if we want to, we could just put that there. But if we want to dress it up a little bit, we could say in the article titled. Let me find the title first. Okay, so I found the title of the article. It says, Ancient Romans ate meals most Americans would recognize. So, if we go back over to our class kick, not that one, this one. Nope, so sorry, our essay. We say, in the article titled, and here, if you're writing a title, a lot of times you want to underline it, or maybe you want to italicize it, okay, so that people reading know that it's the title, right? It's something different than just your regular essay, your regular words. So in the article titled, most Americans would recognize, remember the words in a title are capitalized, recognize, let me make sure I don't mess this up. Most Americans, ancient Romans ate meals most Americans would recognize. That's what we need. So most ancient Romans ate meals most Americans would recognize. All right, so it says in the article titled Ancient Romans Ate Meals Most Americans Would Recognize, historians, and let's check our class kick to see what we wrote. Historians claims, maybe we change the word believe to claims, so Control C to copy. Let's put this here, Control V to put it down there. Most historians claim, or we could just say historians explained, might be a better word, explained that Americans and Romans both ate pork. Okay, so that's a good claim, okay, a good piece of evidence, right, to back us up, because we said that they ate the same things. You might say they ate different things. So use an example, piece of evidence that's different. Then we can just move on to our analysis, right? Here we said Americans eat pork-based foods like sausage, pork chops. Experts found evidence that urban Romans raised pigs in their neighborhoods, according to paragraph 8, okay, or whatever paragraph that was in. I just made up 8 because I wasn't sure on the spot. I have to look it up. And we can hit Control V after we found that and copied it from our class kick. And then we don't want that italicized because it's not part of the title. Okay, it's just words that we're writing in our essay. So we'll get rid of the italics. Now that's perfect. Okay, that's perfect. Now we need to transition to our next idea. So if we go back to our essay map, we see our next idea is going to be about dining customs. So we might say something like Romans also had interesting dining customs. Or we might say something like an important aspect of Roman food was their dining customs. Or any culture's dining customs are very important. Right? Some kind of transition sentence. Then we hit enter, tab, and we start the process all over again with what we wrote under dining customs. We did the same thing with wealth, and then what we wrote in our conclusion, we can copy that and put it at the end. Now, when you're all done with this, you need to click share. So once you have all your paragraphs done, okay, you're going to type my last name, Hildebrand. Make sure you send it to me, okay? TJ Hildebrand. You'll see my little Bitmoji or whatever we call this, okay? And once it's done, okay, Hildebrand, click send. It will send it to me in Google Docs. It will also send me an email so I know that I got it. All right, folks, and that's how you write an essay. One other thing I'll show you. Discard. One other thing I'll show you is you can also go to Tools and click Spelling and Grammar, because spelling and grammar do count for essays. If you hit this spelling and grammar check, okay, right now it's saying the document looks good. But let's say I spell something really, really wrong, right? Let's say I just say Roman emperors. If I go to Tools, Spelling and Grammar, it will give me a suggestion, and I can accept the change, and it fixes it, right? If I'm reading it and the change they suggest doesn't make sense, I can reject it, okay? And it will help you out with all your spelling, some different grammar things, punctuation. So check that out. If you guys need help, have questions, send me an email, stop me in class. I'd love to help you.